Welcome to week 9 of the college football power rankings, an exciting week 8 of sorts. Let's start with Alabama with all that Latin flavor. Nothing too much to change about the Tide's ranking atop the board. They beat Tennessee, nothing new to gain, but the Tide are immune from any sort of resume talk, so we'll keep them at number 1. Florida looking terrific. They're number 2 in the BCS rankings, a little lower in the human polls, but another impressive win against a good SEC team in South Carolina, really a dominant win, and there's really nothing to complain about with Florida, except the offense. But other than that, the Gators are holding strong. Oregon finally gets the road test that they hadn't had yet in Arizona State, and they passed it in flying colors, 43 points in 18 minutes. They have USC in 2 weeks. That should prove a lot as for their upward mobility at the number 3 spot in the rankings. For Kansas State, I would have them against Oregon, except they're in the Big 12, in which defense is, well, it's frowned upon. So they stay at number 4, an impressive win against West Virginia. The schedule finishes strong-ish. Not really. They have Baylor in Texas. Bad defenses again there, but Kansas State looking nice, number 4. 5, Notre Dame. The offense looks sluggish with Tommy Rees against BYU, but that defense is as good as anyone outside of perhaps LSU and Alabama. They have Oklahoma this week, a dominant win against Oklahoma, which will not happen. Should have them teasing for 3 spots, but we'll see. Number 6, LSU. A nice, ugly, standard LSU ugly win at College Station, at Texas A&M. They have the ability to move up dramatically, perhaps with an Alabama loss to the Tigers in a couple of weeks on that big Saturday night. Oklahoma, as we just mentioned, has Notre Dame. They finished the season in a manageable way. They already are past Kansas State with a loss, so it looks pretty well for Oklahoma moving forward. Oregon State, sluggish. Against Utah at home, they seem to be a better team on the road, but they do host the Ducks at the end of the season and miss USC, so they could slowly pace themselves up in the ranking. Florida State, they lose their top running back in Chris Thompson, but Devonta Freeman is more than capable to step in and keep Florida State's offensive wheels greased. I don't know what that means, but it just sounded funny in my head. Ohio State, and Florida State ends the season with Florida. That should be mentioned since they're in the ACC. Ohio State, defense isn't there. They might as well be a Big 12 team at this point, but Ohio State has a very nice schedule. Michigan the last week of the year. Michigan looking just not all that capable of taking advantage of a bad Ohio State defense. Clemson just cruising along. They need Florida State to lose, but they've looked as strong as anybody in the ACC. They finished with South Carolina, but since Clemson's probably not going to the national championship, it doesn't matter. They're looking good in the ACC. USC, with each passing week, I have no idea what to think. The teams that they play that they can't pull away from keep looking worse and worse. I'm looking at you, Washington. Mississippi State. Nobody knows anything about Mississippi State and how good they are. They haven't played anybody. They have Alabama this week. So you want to talk about a team that could make a leap? Mississippi State has LSU and Alabama and Texas A&M in the coming 3 weeks. Win those games, which won't happen. You're talking about a top 5 team in the SEC. Who'd have thunk? Georgia, not all that good. Couldn't get away from Kentucky, but I don't really like anybody else that much. They have the opportunity to beat Florida in Jacksonville. Good for Georgia. They're not all that great. Rutgers, a team that I did not anticipate here at the beginning of the season, but another breakaway win from Temple this time. Temple, a decent team. Rutgers, a balanced team. Gary Nova through the air looked very good. Juwan Jamison on the ground is ridiculous. He just keeps on spinning. Rutgers finishes the season with Cincinnati, Louisville, and Pitt, but as of right now, they're looking pretty good. So those are your Week 9 SB Nation College Football Power Rankings. Who's too high? Who's too low? What is a Rutgers? Let us know in the comments.